All right, folks, Yishai Fleisher here in one of the IDF's anti-terror schools. It's such an honor and a pleasure to be here. Fighting for Israel is one of the greatest gifts that we have. Israel's a gift, right? But fighting for Israel and fighting back all those evil forces that have for so many centuries, even millennia, been anti-Jewish, anti-Israel, being able to push them back with amazing abilities and the strength that God has given us is a blessing. But there are many kinds of fighters against Israel. Nissim Black is a singer, songwriter, rapper, rabbi, convert to the Jewish people, and an amazing individual, inspires thousands. I had a chance to sit down with him. He interviewed me, and we had a chance to discuss really tough issues of attitudes. How do we win the narrative war against Israel? How do we stay strong? What does God want from us? Big things. For an amazing person. It was a real zchut and honor for me to be with him, a warrior for Israel. Let's check out that video. And before we do, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, become a member. Check out the links below and including our awesome web store on Yishai Fleisher TV, YouTube. All right, here's my conversation with Nissim Black, an amazing man with serious questions about how do we move forward in the service of God. Check it out.
Like, of course you don't give up your land. Your land is your thing. Right. It's also anti-logical. Just in plain Middle East terms, of course you don't give up your land.
Right.
You give up your land, it's like giving up your wife. Here, take my wife for peace. You're spineless. You're detested for that. Nobody says it that way, but you gave away the land. Mm-hmm. You led directly to the death of all these people.
Right.
You led, and we foresaw it, and we said it. Like, simple people will be like, why would you give your land? It's dumb. It's dumb. It doesn't work. You don't give your land away to your enemies. Inside, they sense that Allah is with them. We just beat the Jews in their own game through words.
Right.
We beat them in word games. We got it out of them without even war. They gave us their land. When you're in Israel, you're the sovereign.
Right.
You're the big boy.
Right.
I believe very much that there are millions and millions, maybe billions, of goyim who want to come closer to Yiddishkeit.
1,000%.
Both Christians and Muslims that are walking away from those faith traditions that want to plug in, they want to choose Abraham. I'm giving you an option to come to a life faith path that is so-called New Testament, not Christian text. It's through the Torah. It is through Judaism, and it's. I know in my heart that you're going to be one of the teachers for that movement.
I'm up for it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Nissim Black Show on Moral Edge. I'm here with an amazing guest today. So this is a very special edition because my guest is special. I'm sitting here with Yishai Fleisher, who is not only the international spokesman for the community of Hebron, he also happens to be a rabbi, he's a lawyer, and he's an activist, and he is one person who's been screaming from the walls of Jerusalem, even before it became cool to do so. So I'm here with Yishai. Thank you so much, Yishai, for joining me. So
Thank you so much, Nissim.
Thank you.
You know, you're like, it's funny because you're the guy that, is in my house on Friday afternoon. and me and the kids, we love it.
It's
and
really beautiful.
You're just, you were literally and inspirationally colorful.
Right.
And you just add a lot to our life.
Thank you so much.
Around here with that sound and with your real Yiddishkeit, fusing the real,
I appreciate it, man.
The real sounds, and we love it. So it's an honor to have you.
Isn't it funny at this point, like, you say that to me, and you have no idea that I'm listening to you.
Right.
Like, you're only on Friday. I'm listening to you every day of the week. So it's sometimes that dynamic. I realize after the years of, Hashem doing whatever he wanted to do with me, right? And being able to go back and to say to this rabbi or this rabbi, along the way, you were the one who really were helping me along the way, that I was watching you online or I was getting so much from you. So I think it's always a beautiful experience to be able to, give back to somebody else and be like, hold on, listen, you think I'm giving you chizuk? Let me tell you what you did for me. So I really appreciate you and everything that you're doing for all of Klal Yisrael. And
there's so many people that you don't hear about.
Yeah, that's true. There's a lot of people we don't hear about.
You don't hear about the guy who made the road for you.
Yeah, that's true.
Or built that building for you. Or painted something nice for you.
That's true.
We have a beautification project, a few beautification projects in Hebron.
Right.
I don't sign my name big on it,
Yep.
It's just like, now it's like, it's everybody's. Everybody's like, wow, this is amazing. This is beautiful. Wow. That's the tomb of Ruth and Yishai in Hebron.
Yeah.
We beautified it. b'siyata d'shmaya, with a lot of help from Hashem, really. And like just people come and enjoy it,
That's
you know,
amazing. That's amazing.
And you don't know that somebody made the Aron Kodesh for you. You don't know that somebody wrote that Sefer Torah for you.
Right,
you know,
right.
You know,
true.
sometimes I want to give like the Israel Prize. You know, Chabad came out with this new Chumash that I love, right? And I just want to find these guys and give them a prize,
Right,
Because they
right,
did
right.
such a job,
Right.
And now I'm enjoying it, or the Art Scroll folks. Sometimes I just want to kiss them on the head, you know.
I have this vision also too of being able to go into Art Scroll and just going to hug everybody.
Yeah, right?
Like, you know, just like give everybody like a big bear hug for all of what they were able to do.
There's a
for
few
me.
companies like that. Art Scroll.
Yeah.
I love Elal.
Yeah, Elal also.
I just
too.
love
That's
you,
true.
Elal. I
That's
just
true.
want to kiss
That's
that
true.
airplane.
That's true.
And I just think it's great, you know, and it just takes you. And so many good things in our life. And I know that you're a teacher of Breslov.
Right,
Just to
right.
be grateful. Just to be
Right,
grateful
right.
so much. And certainly, like you know, you want to hear one that I get in trouble with a lot?
What?
I tell people the Knesset is a holy place.
Right. Okay.
And they're like, people say to me, "You're sick."
Break it down. Break this one down.
I just say there's a lot of good. There's we all know about the bad stuff. 'Cause that's what's on the news.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But what about all the good stuff?
Right.
What about all the good decisions?
Right.
The good decisions that
Right.
just think about the fact that there's electricity in the state of Israel that lights up yeshivas.
Right. That's true.
Or lights up this interview.
That's
just
true.
think about that for a second. You
Absolutely.
Know? And you're not going to find the guy, but
Right.
somebody worked at it. Somebody created it. And there's a country that runs it.
That's amazing.
And Chazal say it very simply, which is like, if you didn't have a state, people would just eat one another.
Right. And the truth is this, you know, this probably actually leads into my first question, is that even mentioning those things we are living in, and everybody knows in my audience, we for sure we're going here, is that we are living in prophetic times. And part of that includes, you know, what's going on right now in this Medina, in the state of Israel right now, as we're seeing the land give forth its fruits, its vegetations. We are here, we're experiencing it. Like you just said, you know, they didn't say that, but we have chashmal, we have electricity, we have all of these things right now. And a lot of, you know, I would say even what you're doing specifically beyond what your activism, but even just, you know, there in Hebron specifically is all about, it's a part of this rebirth of the land. And you're involved in it, like really from hands up, being able to be a part of it. Right now, there's been a news that just broke out about these sheiks, specifically there in Hebron, which you're very busy with, who are saying that they are willing or ready to join the Abraham Accords. I really don't understand it. One question that I have a few different questions about it. One, I want to understand what the actual proposal is, because Hebron has been historically very hostile for the Jews, unfortunately. Just you know, since all the wars and everything that's going on. But you obviously have some type of relationship with these people. Is it a trustworthy ordeal? Is this something actually happening, or is it just, you know, fluff for the news?
Okay. Let's unpack, okay?
Okay,
There's a lot of
unpack
stuff there. There's a lot of stuff there. Hebron, first thing, just to help people understand, we're talking about a Jewish community that's 3,500 years old.
Right. Absolutely.
We're talking about the tombs of the mamas and the papas.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
We're talking about this bill. I met an important guy today, a Christian, who's been covering the Middle East for a long time. Famous dude on the news. He goes, yeah, you know, I've been to Hebron one time and I just drove through and he's like, is there a cave there or what? And I'm like, no, there's a 2,000-year-old building on top of the tombs. He didn't even know.
Wow.
He's been covering this stuff for a long time. I'm like, wow. So we have a building. It's a 2,000-year-old Herodian building on top of the tombs that are 3,500 years old. We have a community that's been there on and off, mostly on, for 3,500 years.
Wow.
We had the first capital of King David.
Right.
Okay. And we had Jewish and Arab coexistence there for a long time. The word coexistence, I don't want to overstate the case, because they also kicked us out of the tomb of the Machpela, out of the tomb of the Patriarchs and Matriarchs, what I call the mamas and papas. They kicked us out in 1267, and we were not allowed in for 700 years.
Yeah, that's what I was referring to. So it's been hostile to some degree.
Oh, yeah, to some extent, yes. And then to other extent, in 1929, when the Haganah and defense forces came and said to them, listen, there's a danger here, they said, you're causing the danger because you're bringing your guns. We have a relationship with the Arabs that's very old. And so we don't need you here. You're actually causing friction, so leave. And they left. And then the jihad came and washed and destroyed that community with 67 Jews murdered in a horrific fashion, just like October 7th. Okay. Okay, so fine. We were out of the town of Hebron from 1929. We lost all of our property, our synagogues.
Contrary to the way that they make it seem. They say we came and we kicked everybody out.
Yeah.
Right. So
No, they ethnically cleansed us, evicted us, destroyed us. The British were complicit in that. And then 1948 came, but Israel could not conquer Hebron and that whole area of Judea, the so-called West Bank. Jordan was very strong. Why was Jordan so strong?
That's a big question. I had that question also.
Because the British trained them and armed them and led them.
Right.
The British turned on us. Originally, the British people had a place in Olam Haba. And they had a great gift from heaven that they did a great thing, which was to help reconstitute the Jewish state.
Right. Right.
Okay, that's the Balfour Declaration, etc.
Right.
But then they turned on us. Government switched out, and they turned on us, and they became the enemies of Israel. And we had to fight with them.
And we see this all the time with these people. Like, it's not like, not a one-off.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. We're seeing this right now, like in England, even with the influx of all the whatever the case is. It's like, which brings me to my question, really, is like, how do everything's in the hands of Hashem, but can we trust the people? Can we trust these people who say they want to have peace with us? I mean, they're looking at extending the Abraham Accords even beyond this. I'm asking you this because it's specific to Hebron, and this is what you do. So the question is really, could you trust these guys?
All right, I'll get to it in just one more second. Give me one more step. Okay. 1948. Israel won independence,
right,
but lost the heartland to Jordan.
Right.
For 19 years, it was under their occupation. 1967 came, it was a miracle. The 6-Day War was Hashem reaching down his hand into this world and saying, I'm back, I'm here, I'm back in history.
Right.
It's true that I saved the Jewish people for the last 2,000 years. In exile, but now I'm back. I'm giving them their land just like I promised, and I want you to go back to Beit El and Hebron and Shiloh. The problem was that the secular Jewish state was not quite ready for that yet. They weren't ready, and so what happened was they were like, well, let's give it away for peace. Let's give it away for peace. And then there came these Jews, so-called settlers. They were really the brave Jews. We're like, no, we got to hold on to this land. Got to hold on to this land, and they started so-called settling. The real truth is, the right word is resettling the land of Israel. And the state of Israel was hemming and hawing. It was ambivalent.
Right.
Okay. So then in the 90s, a horrific thing happened, which is called the Oslo Accords, in which the Jewish state did a chet meraglim. It was Clinton, and it was Rabin, and it was Peres, and then it was also Ehud Barak, and basically they created an entity to rule the Arabs in Judea and Samaria, called it the Palestinian Authority. Right. And this was like a chet meraglim, a sin of the spies, worse than the sin of spies, because you already got the land, you gave it away to your enemies, to terrorists. Okay, fine. Now, we are used to thinking that the PA, the so-called Palestinian Authority, which is only the flip side of the coin of Hamas. Right. They're the suit and tie version of it. But it's the same thing.
People don't understand that.
Same thing. They literally fund Hamas.
Right.
Okay? So we think of them as our enemies. And we think, the world likes to think of them as champions for Palestine. But there's plenty of Arabs who will tell you that these people are destroying their life.
Wow.
Because they are corrupt, ruthlessly corrupt. Of course. Corrupt to the end.
I mean, the media wasn't even covering that. I mean, just the fact that these guys were able to build out how many tunnels and everything else there was. They've been talking about Mahmoud Abbas. They haven't had elections in I don't know how long.
That's right.
Right? So you're talking about the corruption up the wazoo.
We're talking about people become multi-millionaires, if not billionaires.
Yeah.
We're talking about Yasser Arafat died with billions in his bank account.
And they're making it off of the oppression of...
Right.
They have to be oppressed or else you can't sell anything. You have nothing to sell.
They love that. And some Arabs around the world call the Palestinians, they call them professional victims.
Right.
They call them. Now wait. There's Arabs who are living under this, who are like, this stinks. This is not a good life.
Wow.
The money's being stolen from us. Our kids are being sent to jihadism. Turn on any Palestinian television or any of their school books. It's all full of this death cult stuff. It's Molech. It's Molech in our land.
Wow.
It's a Molech cult.
Wow.
Right? It's a death cult that the Bible talks about.
Right.
And very finally, what are they giving us? What are we getting out of this thing? Do we have a better life? Now, some Arabs are jihadists. They don't care about a better life.
Right.
But some do. Some want a better life. Or the jihadist dream is get rid of Israel. But it's not working.
Right.
Not everybody is an idiot.
Right.
Some people are like, hey, wait a minute. You promised to get rid of Israel. You didn't do it. You promised us that we would inherit all this stuff. We would inherit Tel Aviv. It's not happening.
Right.
In our life, we're poor. We're backwards. We got bad medicine, bad roads. We got bad garbage collection. This thing stinks.
Right.
You're stealing our money. Our kids are becoming jihadists. What is the good of this?
Well, that's a big question because they for sure have had enough money. I mean, outside of Gaza, I'm talking about Ramallah. We talk about, whatever neighborhoods is in Nablus, whatever the case is. People come through and that's what they love to do. They love to go to an Arab neighborhood and they say, oh, wow, you guys are so underprivileged. Look at, and then they go look at it. We're just good at cleaning up. We take out the trash, whatever the case is. However, the reason that they are is very similar too. I had this experience. I was on my way to the airport. I had to stop off somewhere, out somewhere in the back roads of New Jersey, somewhere in the hood. I don't remember where I was. I was on my way to Newark, but I was somewhere in the hood in America. And so I get out and I go to this gas station. So I go.
Are you dressed like this?
I was dressed like this.
Yeah,
I love it. Yeah, you have
they
to
must be like.
I should have a camera follow me around when I go to some of these places. So anyway, I get out and I go into this gas station and I'm ready to buy a few snacks or whatever for the road. And I'm looking around and I don't see anything name brand, even stuff that's not kosher. Yeah. Nothing's name brand. Everything's like from China or from Taiwan or something like that. And I look and I go up to the counter. I'm like, I can't even grab anything of it. The water's not even name brand. So I go up to the counter and I look behind. All the name brand stuff is behind glass. It's like locked away. You know what I'm saying? Like for regular Lay's potato chips or Reese's Piece or whatever the case is all behind this glass. And so then I'm paying. Stop. I have to stop and I think I'm starting to walk back to my car and I'm just like, wow, it's really bad over here. I can look at the neighborhood. I can see obviously it's poverty stricken. I see people who are strung out on drugs. I know what a crackhead looks like. So I'm looking around. I'm very familiar with these type. I grew up in this type of environment and I started to think to myself, I said, you know what? Like, this is horrible. But somebody's responsible, but it ain't who they think is responsible, right? A lot of the people who are responsible are the champions, the justice, the social justice warriors and all these. Right. They make money from this. Definitely. And what people don't understand, especially in America, I hope people will wake up to this, especially as it's, the anti-Semitism and the anti-Israel's leaking into it's already it's flooding the right as well. But this is the same exact thing that we've been seeing happen in America that's been rearing its head, especially since 2020, with all the Black Lives Matter, the whole everything. It is completely the exact same thing. So on October 7th, I remember Black Lives Matter came out with this statement, saying, I think it was specifically the Chicago sector, saying that, freedom something, free Palestine or something like that. And they posted one of the parachute guys coming down. And the truth is, I started telling everybody, I said, it's the same type of organizations. What people don't understand. Right. The same thing. Keep the people oppressed. I make money off of their oppression, and you keep giving to me, and I keep them oppressed because that's what keeps the money coming in. People don't understand that it's a game.
But some Arabs don't want that.
That's crazy.
Some Arabs don't want that. You're right that there's a confluence between the progressive left and the jihad. Right. It's very successful in like America. It's very successful consciousness. But on the ground here in Israel, like, there's a lot of people who are like, this doesn't work. And it comes from different places. Sometimes it comes even from an Islamic point of view. Sometimes they're like, well, the Jews are in the Quran. Right. Here it is. and some of them are faithful people. And they're like, I think Allah's helping them. In 1948, a lot of Arabs ran because they said, Allah's with the Jews. This is their land. Wow. It's not our land. So, Allah's giving them their land back because they really are believers. There are people who are believers, right? They are believers. So, okay, your question was, you asked it like twice. I just want to answer it. Can you trust them? You know what? Before I answer that question, I want to tell you, it's not as important as you think. Can I trust them it's important, but that's not the moment right now. The moment is that you have Arabs, so-called Palestinians, who are bravely telling the world, our beef is with the PA. Our beef is with Hamas. We'd rather link up with Israel. So stop spreading that narrative that it's Israel versus Palestine. Wow. It's Palestine is an oppressor. Let us link up with Israel. It's a decent country. And then they say, and there's this thing called the Abraham Accords. You mentioned it. Right. It's like there's already this consciousness like, listen, we're all children of Abraham. By the way, just in parentheses, the term Abraham Accords, that is from God.
Right.
The story is that Trump and Friedman and the other people, Friedman writes about it in his book, and Netanyahu were kind of sitting around. They were about to launch this Abraham Accords, and like a Puerto Rican 3-star general runs in, and he's like, we need a name for this thing. And Trump is like, I thought we were going to call this the Trump Accords. And he's like, well, let's try the Abraham Accords. And I tell you, that person, I don't even remember his name, that was Eliyahu Hanavi.
Wow.
Because the idea of the Abraham Accords is exactly a counter to the most pernicious of all words, which is occupation.
Occupation, right.
They're saying that we're a white man that has stolen this land.
Right.
By the way, I want to tell you a story about a black church, but can you remind me about that?
Yeah,
I have a very important story about a very important story I'd love to talk to you about a black church. But in any case, you have a moment now where these Arabs are saying, wait a minute, we're linking up with the Abraham Accords.
Right.
We're linking up with these other Arabs, with the UAE and with Morocco and with Bahrain and et cetera. And we're linking up with this thing. That's what we want. Israel's here.
Right.
So you can come at it from a pragmatic approach. Israel's not going anywhere. That's a pragmatic approach. Or from a more, Allah approach. Allah's given this land to the Jews.
Right.
Or just I just want a decent life.
Right.
And another catalyst to that has been October the 7th.
Right.
October the 7th was this moment of breakout.
Yeah.
Where it's like, we are going to destroy Israel, and we're going to shoot rockets from Iran, from Yemen, and from Lebanon, and from Gaza. We're going to smash at those Jews. We're going to smash them up. We're going to grind them up, man. Right? And it didn't happen. And they look at Gaza, and they're like, whoa.
Right.
Like, I don't want this.
Yeah.
This is where this is going.
Right.
So Yishai can complain a lot about how we fought in Gaza. I can be unhappy about not completing the job, and I can complain from here to, and with justification.
Right.
But from their perspective, they're like, wait a minute. We launched this awesome war, and it's just we have gotten destroyed through it. We don't want this. So Hebron Arabs are like, wait a minute. What is this thing going to bring us? Nothing.
That's amazing.
Nothing. And I wish I was like on Piers Morgan with one of these guys, Mehdi Hassan or whoever it is. I just want to tell them, I want to be like, what are you bringing to the table?
Right.
What are you offering your people? The destruction of Israel? It's not going to happen.
Right.
You're a dope. You're wasting everybody's time. You're not bringing them life. So the answer, just to finalize your question, which is there are some brave Arabs out there who are out there saying, hey, we don't want this anymore. Can you trust them? My experience has been mixed.
Right.
My experience has been mixed.
Yeah.
My experience has been mixed in terms of actually dealing with them. Has been mixed.
That's
okay. It's a different culture. It's a different thing. And also, sadly, on our side, we don't do it right by them. What do I mean by that? We don't, protect the guys that are with us.
Right.
And we're also not strong with the guys who are against us.
Exactly.
So because we don't do it right, we mess
We're not necessarily speaking their language.
We're not speaking their language.
But I think we did in terms of what happened in Iran just over these last, few weeks, and what continues to go on. And what most people are not talking about is that there are still operations going on right now, and it's coming from their side, and we're seeing it. However, I think that woke up the rest of the world. I was a little shocked to see the lack of movement from Syria and Egypt and all these others, in terms of which I did see that they are talking. They're ready to come to the table. They're still holding on to this idea of there still being some type of Palestinian state or whatever the case is. But I think that this is fluff. I think that everybody right now in the region is shaking in their boots, and they're realizing right now that we either have to join them, right, or we're finished. Right. And
beat them or join them. Yeah.
Beat them or join them. Right. That's
if you can't beat them, join them. That's
you can't beat them, then you join them.
Right.
So you think that was sort of the motivation going on here? Also,
definitely.
They realized it.
They don't even deny it. They say it.
Wow.
Because they know that Gaza has been a thing for them. We gave away Gaza stupidly.
Right. It was dumb.
2005.
Yes.
Dumb is not the word. It's criminal. It's criminal. It's criminal.
Right.
If those, nobody says it that way, but you gave away the land. You led directly to the death of all these people.
Right.
You led, and we foresaw it, and we said it.
Right.
So there's criminality here, in my from my
that's what the world needs to see. Is anytime we give land to these guys, it becomes a launching pad for more violence.
Don't give away your land.
You don't give away the land.
Nissim, you know what the word
is? Anti-biblical. I tell people all the time.
That's right.
The best, the only resolution is a Jew state solution. A Jew state solution. You like that? So I think it takes a rapper to say that.
I love that. Yeah, I love it.
So it's it's the most biblical thing that we have. Solution. I tell people all the time. Listen to this. In the book
we
of
call
Job,
this podcast
we call it the Jew state solution.
Yeah.
So listen, the
I'm definitely going to quote you on this.
I'm going to
borrow it, but I'm going to quote you. Yeah.
All right, I just get to make the T-shirt first.
Yeah,
so that's
absolutely.
it.
It's merchandising. It's all about merchandising here. Yeah.
So, I mean, when you look at it in the book of Joel, God is very, very clear, right? He says that he's going to gather all the nations of the world down up for war, but he's going to gather them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, right? And he says, which is not far, right? So he says, and when he gets there, he's going to enter into judgment on the behalf of who? First, his people, the Jewish people. And he says, and of my land that they have divided.
Right.
Because the land has been divided. We are not allowed to give away Eretz Israel. And this is what I keep telling people over and over again. Anybody who supports a two-state solution is going against God more than anything else almost that you could do. Because God says that this is going to be the defining moment of when he comes to separate these nations. Who's for him and who's against him. Those who have divided up God's land are against God. It's very clear inside the prophecy.
That's right. Now, I agree with what you said 100%, period. Mm-hmm. However, I could say what you just said also in Middle East language, that everybody's like, of course you don't give up your land. Your land is your thing. It's also anti-logical.
Right.
So you painted it in, again, I agree 100%, in Torah terms.
Right.
But just in plain Middle East terms, of course you don't give up your land.
Right.
You give up your land, it's like giving up your wife. Here, take my wife for peace, whatever.
Right.
You're spineless. You're detested for that.
And nobody else
gives away your land. On top of which, we have a tiny little land.
Right.
Nobody gives away their land for peace. That's ridiculous. Your land is like this thing. It's called ard. It's like this thing that you hold on to. You hold on. Your land is it's holy.
Right.
To Arabs in their mind. Just by giving up land. And the Lubavitcher Rebbe, we're here in a Chabad shtibel. The Lubavitcher Rebbe said, just by even talking about it, you're endangering the Jewish people because they sense that you're willing to give it up, and you give them wind in their sails. Don't do that. Don't do that. And really, I'm saying that I could always describe what you just said, either in religious language or in not necessarily religious language, and they're both true.
Right.
You don't give up your land. And by the way, when I'm on the plane, people say to me a lot of times, like, why do you guys, like with Goyim, with nations, they said to me, why do you guys want to give your land away to your enemies? Simple people will be like, why would you give your land? It's dumb. It's dumb. It doesn't work. You don't give your land away to your enemies. They sense, and by the way, inside, they sense that Allah is with them. They're like, listen, we just beat the Jews in their own game through words.
Right.
We beat them in word games. We got it out of them without even war. They gave us their land. Right? And that does not work. It does not work. So then there's all these Jews that are stuck on the issue about how do you give rights to the Arabs. Okay, we can work it out.
Yeah.
But don't be like, oh, I can't give them rights and I don't want to govern them and I want to live in my little shtetl because I'm a shtetl
But you
Jew.
said something actually profound on this. I saw an interview and you were being asked about this. Now, we talk about democracy. We don't necessarily believe in democracy, and I think you the way that you gave this over was very, very matter of fact, and you kept to what the actual Torah value is. But at the same time, saying that, there could be a place for people who are not Jewish, but there is what that looks like.
Right.
It is what that looks like. This is not to be ran as a democratic, state where everybody gets the exact same rights or whatever. And that's also another thing that's anti-biblical. That's just not what the Bible.
And it's anti-regional.
And it's anti-regional.
You see that?
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Exactly. 1,000% right. And that was the point that you were making also too, because in the region it doesn't happen that way. You can't go to any Arab state and have the same exact rights as anyone else over there.
There's not one Arab country with a democracy, not one.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And of course, the Torah itself tells us that Goyim will live in our land.
Right.
It tells us that, but they have to follow what is basic Middle East common sense. You gotta follow our laws. You got to be loyal. And the Torah adds, you have to believe in our God.
Right.
You have to believe in our God. Okay, we can,
Right.
that's still a, discussion of how, is there a place where you could be, I don't know if you could be a Muslim or under Israel. There's a gray zone there about how the Torah exactly sees that, but in simple terms is you got to be loyal, you got to love Israel, you got to follow the laws, and you got to definitely respect the God of Israel and and certainly make sure the Jews pray on the Temple Mount, etc.
Right.
Like, you can't be putting your religion on top of our religion and be like, oh look, our Allah is the supreme God because he's crushed the Jewish God version of things, and we're on top of that. That whole thing, the whole Temple Mount thing, that's why is that their number one symbol? It's always their number one symbol.
Right. It's the nan.
Right. Because Allah is stronger than Hashem, and the way I understand it. And the fact that we haven't been able to Israel, have not been able to kick them off, means to them that Islam still reigns supreme, and our holiness, our holy way, which is nothing but total cultural appropriation. I mean, these guys, they took our holy place, put their thing, created a false narrative on top of that, and now it's theirs, and they understand that. They understand our weakness about that.
Right.
They're very sensitive. They're very sensitive to strength and weakness.
Right.
They're very sensitive to that. And
it's different. It's a different culture. And that's what most people don't understand. That most people from the West look at the whole entire world through the lenses of the West, right? There's democracy. There's right. There's left. There's, either the issue is racial. There's an oppressor and oppressee. There's only those standards. That's the only way that they can look at the world. And this is why I don't want to say I get nervous, but I get a little, I guess, for the lack of a better term, I use the word nervous, when I see, all these efforts towards peace. Not that I don't want peace, but there's a the question always comes, what are you willing to give up for that peace?
Yeah, why should I give up anything?
Yeah, why do I have to give up so much for the peace?
What are you willing to give up?
What are you willing to give up? And it's very clear nobody else in the region seems to be so hot on taking in any of the Palestinians. So there's obviously Arabs that, will call themselves Palestinians. So there's obviously, nobody's looking at that to say that there's obviously some reason why they don't want them in the land. You could say, for one, that they really believe and that they should have their own sovereignty or whatever, but I think that's all a joke. But there's a real reason why they don't want. I think it's what you said, that by and large, most of these people have been from child have been radicalized, right? Islamic jihadists, and it's only a matter of time.
And they're happy to use them as pawns. They're happy to use them as pawns against us.
When I was on Piers, I told one of the guys over there, one of the Palestinian guys, I told him, I said, listen, who's the number one murderer of Arabs? Other Arabs. Absolutely. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It's you almost have no argument to talk about what's actually going on, between Israel. I said to everybody, if you look at what's going on in Europe today, right? And I just recently wrote an op-ed I'm going to publish on this, is if you look at what Europe looked like before 1948, and when it was predominantly, the Jewish community there, weren't Arabs there were Jews there. And you look at it now today with the refugees, and you look at the difference of what's going on in Europe. Europe is up in flames. Right. You talk about the rape, the crime, the jihadists, the conspiracy of terrorism, the terrorist cells, everything that's going on inside of Europe. It's like you didn't see that. So when you look at what happens and how people behave in other countries, when Jews have gone to other countries, contributed to society and medicine and entertainment and business and finance, like this is what we do when we're in other societies. Right. So how do we come to the region here and look at what's going on and say, oh, the Jews are the aggressors? It doesn't even make any sense. Right. You could do a case study based upon how and where we are been in other places. So
you're so right. You're so right. I was stuck in America now because of the war.
Yeah.
And I needed to get home, Nissim. I needed to get home.
I believe you.
I stopped thinking. Everybody was like, stay in Brooklyn, you're good. And I was in Brooklyn, I was good. I was okay. I was safe, I was good. I was food, there was kosher food, minion, the whole thing, everything was good. Right. And I was like, and my mom, very sensitive person, my mom, very smart person, she says to me, she's like, I could see that you're not operating from a realm of logic. You're just something. It was like a call. Like I needed to come home. I need to come home. And whatever, I got through Amman. I flew to Amman and I flew home. And I drove through, not a long time, I drove basically an hour and a half through Jordan. I thought to myself, you're so silly. if you would only have normalcy with us, if you'd only relate to us as your cousins, as an opportunity, we'd have factories here.
Right.
And we'd have tourism here.
Right.
And we'd have better governance and more water, more like, let us bring you our blessings, you bring your blessings.
Right.
If we just had this like more normal relationship instead of stupid jihadism, instead of you wanting to control Jerusalem, instead of you cussing us out at the UN, instead of all that, if you would just take in the blessing a little bit, like Allah will bless you.
Right.
Barakah. But there'll be a bracha, you know? Like, and I thought to myself, you're stupid. How you're wasting everybody's time with this hate. And sometimes I want to tell Piers Morgan, you bring on all these guys, like they have nothing. They don't offer anything.
Right,
I'm offering regional flourishing.
Right.
And it's all based on the simplest premise.
Right.
Jews are in their land, in their state. Arabs are in their lands, in their states. And we work together towards Abrahamic regional normalization and welfare for everybody, prosperity. And I tell you, Nissim, I was just like, you know, like all this hate at the end, where does it all bounce off to?
Right.
Does it come on to us?
Right.
A little bit comes on to us. Mostly it just
It's
bounces
definitely
right
affected.
back.
You know, you definitely look at Israeli culture; it's very hard and harsh. And I say that's by and large because of the neighbors.
Yeah.
It's not the typical way that we would. I would say at least behave. You go to a Jewish community outside, anywhere else in the world, Israel's, become very tough. But I think it's the neighbors. There's definitely been a rub off. Yeah,
exactly. Thank you. You exactly said what I felt, which is there's a 20% of it does rub off on us, and we are a little bit more uptight with each other. But when you go there and you see the lack of blessings, here you come to Yerushalayim. And you have a great song on Yerushalayim that I love so much.
Thank you.
With Avi Delvante, right?
Yeah.
It's just a great song. And I love that song because that song, I really love that song. And I'll tell you, because that song gives you a feeling like, look at this thing. Look at this thing.
Right,
it's bubbling. It's alive.
Right.
That's what Israel has. That, by the way, makes our enemies crazy.
Right.
They see it. They see that life force, that pulsating life force of Israel. I know a lot of people that make Aliyah just because they feel the life.
Right.
They feel the energy.
Right.
And so you look around, you drive around, you're like, you guys have a cruddy country. And the only reason you have a cruddy country is because of this hate.
Hate.
If you just let it go and just accept and find an Islamic way to accept the Jews, just find an intellectual path to just be like, you know what? And that's what these Mukhtars and Sheikhs are about. They're trying to find an intellectual path to be like, yeah, you know what I mean? I could dig it. I could live with the Jews.
Recently in an interview, Douglas Murray brought you up. So it seems you have some relationship with Douglas Murray. He's whatever. He's a
phenomenon.
The guy's a phenomenon. I tell you what, sometimes it bothers me sometimes just to see that a person like that, who's not Jewish, to go out and be such a Gibor Yisrael, like it's such a fighter, and a lot of times we hold ourselves back. You obviously don't have this issue. I don't know where it comes from. I don't know how you were able to pull it out of yourself. Simplicity. Talk to me about simplicity.
It's because I'm simple. I'm like not clever.
Right.
That's why. Really, I'm not tricky. I'm not like good at that. I'm not good at cards. I'm not tricky. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so
there's
like a kind of simplicity, and like I come from a simple place. My place is like. And we discussed it a little bit before we went on air. It really comes from a belief that the Tanakh, the Chamisha Chumshei Torah, the books of Moses, are a godly creation. I read it. I love it. I'm in love with it. It's characters. I love stories.
Right.
I love stories. Stories touch me. I like to tell stories.
Right.
And the Tanakh is stories. I believe that everybody should learn the book of Bereshit, Genesis. I think if the whole world would just learn Bereshit, including Jews, we'd be in better shape. You'd at least understand what we're talking about here.
Right. I think that's why we're suffering altogether. I say a lot of times learning the Tanakh, the Hebrew Bible, is the gateway to to simple belief in God, like you said, coming to simplicity, right, where things are not complex. And the reason why you said that, you actually hit it right on the head, because we have a beautiful Masorah, beautiful tradition, beautiful, the Gemara, the Talmud, the wisdom of it, the levels of understanding that a person can dive into, and then even the esoteric and the Kabbalah. Like, there's so many different levels you can go up. What happens often because of the, I would say that the way that we've shifted culturally in our learning and our yeshivas and different things like that we've pulled away from Tanakh, we pulled away from some of the simplicity, and I really honestly feel like that it inhibits having simple faith in God.
That's right.
Because what happens is that once you learn things of complexity, and you build a culture of learning things that are complex, then you start to think very complex.
Right.
And it's very hard to come to a simple conclusion of things.
Maybe that's why Hashem made it, that he brought into this world the secular Jew.
Explain.
It's one of the mysteries and the challenges for the Torah world.
Right.
Why Hashem would bring the Jewish people back to the land of Israel through a secular mechanism,
right,
and a secular state. It's very bothersome for a lot of people.
Second time, by the way. I'm saying you look at.
But you had their
But Ezra didn't come until, think about this. Ezra didn't come until maybe 30-some years after.
Right.
You had Nehemiah who came, but he was by and large dealing with, the hands that laid the bricks for the second temple were by and large non-religious. By the time Ezra comes, there's 113 men, I believe, all married to non-Jews.
Right.
He has to do a public divorce that wasn't allowed from the Torah. So you had this happen, and I think that the reason why we can't understand it now is because the lack of understanding Tanakh, we didn't see that this already happened. This is history really repeating itself. There were people who did not know Torah well, who came and rebuilt this land during Bayis Sheni.
They were not Stark.
They were not Stark.
Yeah, they were not Stark.
And I asked this question one time to Rabbi Tovia Singer. You're gonna laugh at this. I said, so listen. I said, so I don't understand how we're having a tough time now. Us as the religious Jews saying, like, who came back to build the land was the secular people who wanted to be here, who loved the land, had a love for the land, and their religion probably, unfortunately, is just the land. That's we need to build up. The Torah should be our focus. However, these are the people who build it up. So he asked me a question. He said, where were all the religious Jews? I said, where? He said, at Achashverosh's party. Right? This is where they were. They were living in comfort. They were in Babel. They didn't want to come.
Right.
That was the whole idea, that Ezra went around and said to them, you need to come. But they were living it up in Babylon.
That's right.
They had it made and laid.
In Persia.
Yeah, in Persia.
Right.
In Persia.
Now, so you spoke about that we don't study Tanakh, we don't have that simplicity, but also we had become galuti, i.e. diaspora Jews, ghetto Jews for 2,000 years. That's a lot of years.
Right.
Okay? In order to start a state, you needed characteristic traits that had been bred out. You had to breed them back in. Action, army, Hebrew language, farming, the commerce of a state level, You needed to breed that back into the Jewish people. So Hashem made a generation that made a cut from the books.
Right.
They made a cut.
Right.
Bring back these other characteristic traits. State, army, farming, language, strength.
Right.
And then once that's reestablished, then you can bring the Torah back in. Give me a foundation, a physical foundation, and bring the Torah back in. But first, we need a little bit of a cut, and the Talmud and the rabbinic tradition and all that we do, the prayers, that was not going to allow an extreme reacquisition of a characteristic trait into the nation. We needed these things back. I heard a beautiful Torah concept about it. One time I heard Rabbi Herschel Schechter speaking at the American Zionist movement, and he told a story, sadly I don't remember the name, but basically that there was a Rebbe, a Hasidic Rebbe, who had a dream, and in the dream he saw the generation of the spies.
Wow.
The generation of the desert. And as it's known, there are opinions. I think Rabbi Akiva in the Talmud says that there's no olam haba for these people. They have no tikkun. They have no way of fixing what they did. So they came, in the dream, they came to Hashem, this generation. They said, listen, we were good Jews. We made a mistake. We need a tikkun. We need a fixing. And he's like, no. They're like, but we need a fixing. We know in Breslov that you got to keep asking, right? You don't stop asking, right? You don't be like,
That's
whatever.
right.
You got to keep asking. So finally they come to Shem. They're like, we need a fixing. And he's like, I'm going to send you back. You guys were great at all the mitzvahs, at the commandments. But there was one mitzvah that you screwed up on. That mitzvah was Eretz Yisrael. So I want you to come back and just fix that one mitzvah. Don't do the other ones. You did that in your life. You're fine. Focus in on Eretz Yisrael. And I think that's the mystery of why Hashem used secular Jews to restart the Jewish state. I think that's two sides of it, maybe. But be that as it may, it's obvious to me. It's obvious to me that Hashem is bringing the Jewish people back. We're in the era of the Third Temple. The Third Temple will be established.
1,000%.
I don't know if it's going to be established in 20 years. I told my kids, and I said within 100 years there's a temple in Yerushalayim.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like it's not a question. You can just see where it's going.
You can see where it's going. I mean, the prophecies, like I keep hammering on this, but Ezekiel, the vegetation of the land is budding, it's fruit. It didn't do that for the Turks.
No,
it didn't do that for the British. We see that Jordan, a lot of Jordan is ours, is not doing it for them.
No.
So you're seeing the parts of Syria that belong there. It's also desert. With people, when they don't realize these type of things, because of the lack of study of Tanakh, what happens is that you can come to a convoluted ideology. You can come to some place where you actually end up fighting against Eretz Israel. You fight against the rebuilding of Israel, and ultimately end up fighting against Hashem himself. But we say this about Tanakh for you love it, I love it, but I think that this is the one thing holding us back right now. That in this generation we are not spending enough time inside of the prophets. We're not learning them. And what's happening? You're
talking about observant Jews.
I'm talking about observant Jews.
Right,
I'm talking,
in the secular world, it's even more extreme.
Yeah, even secular world is even more extreme.
You cannot believe the lack of biblical knowledge.
Right.
I believe you. It's just it's like, come on, forget religion. This is your culture. This is your language. This is the story of your peoplehood.
Right. It's
like you should be loving this on every level, certainly on a tourism level.
Right.
All right, Nissim, I want to tell you a story, okay?
Okay, I want to hear about this black church.
Yeah, I want to talk to you about this. I want to tell you a story.
Okay.
And with you it's fun. We're going to talk like race stuff, okay?
Okay, let's do it.
So I had there's a big black church. It's got like 100 million followers around the world.
Wow.
They're called Christ Church and God. That's what they're called.
The Church of God of Christ. Kojic.
Right. They're huge.
Okay. Yeah.
They're
For sure.
huge.
Very familiar.
And they asked me to tour them. They asked me to tour them in Hebron.
Oh wow.
I was excited about the opportunity, right? And so I'll tell you a few things along the way, but then I'll get to the main point. First thing is that they're big. You know what I mean? They're big folks. And every time we drove around and there was an Ethiopian soldier, they'd be look, it's a black soldier. And I was like, I didn't even notice. I didn't even notice because it's not a thing in my eye. It doesn't pop out for me.
We never think about it.
I don't think about it. Right. They're like, look at that, a black. I'm like, oh, cool. They're very sensitive about this issue. They're very sensitive.
Right.
We went up to an overlook here, and they said to me, one of the main reasons why we love Israel, first thing is because of Martin Luther King. And also, Zion and these terms, these ideas. Like the other reason is because you too mention your slavery twice a day, maybe 3 times a day in the Kriyat Shema. You mention your slavery. So I said to them, yeah, we mention our slavery, but not in the pain of slavery. We thank God for bringing us out of
slavery. Right.
We're very thankful for that, for liberation. That's how we remember our slavery, but we're not stuck there. We're talking about liberation. There was silence. They were silent for a few minutes, and they told me, we have a lot to learn from you.
Wow.
Because they're very much in a place of feeling the pain of slavery.
Right.
I'm like, no, the Jews, we feel the liberation, Hashem's gift. Okay, but that's not the main point of the story. The main point of the story is that we go around, we see the Ethiopian soldiers, we talk about things like that. I bring them to the tomb of the patriarchs and matriarchs. They were very moved by touching Abraham. In the Christian world, there's songs about Abraham.
Right, of course.
Abraham. They really felt it. They really, really felt it. So after that, I posted a picture on social media, and I got a lot of flack. The flack that I got is because one of their preachers that was living here in Israel had made some statements, foolish statements, about converting the Jews, about missionizing.
Okay.
He threw out some kind of, it wasn't like a big Torah.
Some part of the,
he threw out,
Yeah. Okay.
Now, it wasn't, I'm trying to say he wasn't like there wasn't printed books or something like that. They weren't really missionizing Jews. But he threw out some kind of foolish phrase that ticked people off. And they said to me, Yishai, you're taking this missionary church around and oh my God, Yishai is playing ball with missionaries and look what you're selling out, Judaism because you want friends, because you're all about, who's your friends, because you're all about being afraid, you don't trust Hashem, and everything is being thrown at me.
Wow.
And I said to those people, those zealots, and I don't mean that, I'm cool with zealots, but that particular zealot.
And I understand what you mean.
I'm like, I said to them, you are so missing the point. How many people do you think that this black church is going to convert in Israel? Zippo. Okay, not one. Nobody's moving over to this black church in Israel. It's not going to happen. You can forget that.
Right.
But how many kids on campus? Here's the point that's so close to you and your life. Okay, how many black kids on campus have a choice, either to see Israel as what this church wants to show and what I want to show this church, which is, we, the black community, are like the Jews, okay? We have come out of slavery. The Jewish people have come back to their land. They're the ethnic people who have returned. God has returned them to their land. These are God's people. He gave them morality and a light, and we should follow that. And they are a force of liberty. And that's what these Jews are. They are indigenous. They're black.
Right. No doubt about it.
Right? Or the much easier narrative to buy into, which is the Jew is the white man. He came, he colonized the black Palestinians.
Right.
And now he's a colonialist, occupier, apartheidist. Right. And hey, Desmond Tutu says it.
Right.
Right. And I'm like, I'm working with one of the biggest churches in the world so that black kid in college can think Israel's cool.
Right.
Because when he thinks he's not cool, he thinks that Kanye West is cool.
Right.
Then those kids on campus, those Jewish kids, are going to have a very hard time. Right. I was on campus at Florida State University. I said, how's life here? They said to me, everything was fine until Kanye West. Kanye West made anti-Semitism not cool.
Yeah. So he made it cool.
Excuse me, he made it cool.
He made it cool.
Yeah, he
Absolutely.
made it cool. In one shot, he made it cool.
That's true. 1,000%.
And they were like, our lives changed. Because guess what? The black kids are oftentimes the cool kids on campus. And our lives changed because of this thing. So I said to my detractors, I said, you're foolish. You think that I'm bringing in missionaries. That's the furthest thing from the truth. What you don't understand is that this is going to influence 100 million people out there to see Israel for what it is.
Right.
A light of God, a light of liberty.
Right.
They'll see Martin Luther for what he was talking about, and they'll see that the Jewish kid on campus is part of Judah, part of the return, part of morality, part of God's Bible.
Right.
And if you keep me out of taking this black church, then what's going to happen is that black kid is much more likely to think of Israel as this apartheid, white, colonialist, and all that stuff.
Right. That's absolutely
And that's
true.
the battle out there.
Right. It's a real battle. That's a real battle. And I've struggled with this for a long time of trying to explain this to people. Like the idea that there is some type of, synergy between the Palestinians and the African Americans. And it's like, when? Since when? How did this start happening? Right. Like most people don't even think about, before the Atlantic slave trade was the Arab slave trade. The Arabs enslaved black people before them.
That's the name until this very day.
To this very day.
They go into black Africa and take out slaves.
And what do they call black person? Abdi. They call them slave.
That's right.
That's what they called. So the whole entire, thing. And
the Jewish people, how many times have Jewish people worked for black liberation?
Right. That's true.
And, and in so many places.
The overwhelming majority. So it's definitely everything's been flipped around.
But you see, but the point is that these other guys are like missing the point.
They're missing the point.
They're missing the point. They don't see the big battle.
1,000%. They don't see it, and most people are not going to see it because everybody lives in their own bubble. People are not, and I think that this is what we're suffering by, and it brings me back to Tanakh and to the prophets. We're not Geula minded. We're not in a Geula mind state. We're in a mind state of only being able to control whatever it is that we can control. Everything, all the systems are about control. You have to fit this box. You have to check these, check all these boxes over here. And if you don't check these boxes, then you're out. Right? We're seeing it a lot with the education system. All over the world, we're seeing, especially in the religious institutions. We're not Geula minded. We're not thinking about preparing ourselves for Geula, and we're not thinking about what it is, the reason why Hashem has us here in this time right now, why the world is against us. We're not looking for the signs and the nuggets that Hashem is actually given to us right now, telling us that he's here right now. But I think what you said is that we need to be simple. We need to be simple. That's one of the things I really pride myself on also too. Simple. There's a period in time in your life as a convert.
What is simple? What is simple?
What I mean by that is that I'll tell you in the most simple way that I can tell you, is that one of the stages you go through as a convert is that you, especially when you come from overwhelming majority of they're worried about you. The overwhelming majority of converts to Orthodox Judaism were evangelical Christians before, right?
That's
so
right.
Maybe 90%, if not higher, right? So one of the places or stages that I've heard many people go through, and I went through myself, is feeling like, God, how come I didn't know? How come you feel to some degree let down by God? How come I didn't know, the truth? How come I didn't know, that the Torah was the Torah? How come I had to go through whatever journey that was? How come I couldn't have went to yeshiva? How come I couldn't have been brought up and gone to a regular religious institution, a regular cheder, a regular school, and was raised this way? I had to do all this work to come to. And I started to think, over the years, and as time had, gone by and played out, and I said, Hashem, I thank you so much. I wasn't born this way. Thank you so much.
Right.
I didn't go to the schools. After a while, I started to realize and say, well, Hashem, you gave me such a milah. The interesting part about it is, I say this all the time, that when a person generally is born into a religious family, even when they're not born into a religious family, you say, take a Jew that was a secular Jew who becomes a Baal Tshuva, returns to Judaism, whatever the case is, usually they end up in the same category in this particular instance. Usually, they are first taught about ritual Judaism. They're taught about the Sabbath. They're taught about the holidays, lighting candles, putting on tefillin, all the ritual things you usually learn because they're educating you, even if you're a returnee. What happens, you usually end up at some Chabad shul, right? First thing you learn is how to put on tefillin, or a lady learns how to put on candle, cover your head, the do's and the don't do's. Usually what's different about the convert, the person who comes from the outside in, is that you met Hashem first.
Right.
That's the first thing you meet. You meet Hashem first. Then only after that, you start to realize, wait, there's a Torah.
There's a way to get close to him.
There's a way to get,
stuff.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
Then there's this physical, wow, the Shabbos and all that. But it's after this love and infatuation that you have first with Hashem, then all of a sudden, everything else about it becomes attractive.
Yeah.
As opposed to where later on finding about Hashem can be sometimes challenging to a person's spirituality. So I think that is what helps to some degree. It makes it easier for a person to have simple emunah.
Right.
And get them in a Geula
Right.
mindset.
Well, I have to tell you, I'm also really from a Baal Tshuva family.
Right.
Okay. I'm not FFB. I'm not from for birth.
Right.
My parents were Russian Jews. They were strong Zionists, strong Jews, but they didn't know Yiddishkeit.
Right.
We had to leave Israel to America.
Wow.
to find Yiddishkeit. Okay.
Wow.
So it was a long journey as well.
Wow.
But I want to get back to simplicity. Simple things that are simple. Here's some simple things. God wrote the Torah.
Right.
That's pretty simple. You want to, if you doubt that, just open it. You'll see it, or see the fact that the Jewish people have survived. Just think about it. Reasonably, the ingathering of the exiles.
Right.
Israel is the ingathering of the exiles. It's simple. Hashem is bringing back the exiles. Simple. It's not complex.
It's not complex.
And he's building Yerushalayim. Yerushalayim is the home of Hashem. It's in the Psalms. It's everywhere. Everybody knows that. Everybody knew that in the ancient world. Jerusalem, Yerushalayim, in the Psalm.
Right.
It's like these are simple things, and that we have to fight for our land and not let other people take over our land and create a whole alternative narrative to try to destroy us with.
Right.
Don't do that.
Right.
That's not smart. You know what I mean? Don't do that. That's simple. Okay, don't do that. Don't give away your land. We'll figure out how to give decencies to decent people, but don't be complex. Don't give away your land. That's just dumb. And Hebron, that's where your mamas and papas are. So So govern it.
Yeah.
And there's something that's maybe not so simple, which is the transition process between Yaakov and Israel. Right. Yaakov is how we survive in the diaspora.
Right.
We are clever. We are witty. We know how to navigate the stuff. When you're in Israel, you're the sovereign.
Right.
You're the big boy.
Right.
Make it clear to people. I'll give you an example. That's close to your heart. Is it easy and clear how to convert here in Israel from a goy to a Jew?
No.
No, they make it so complex. Hey, you're the sovereign now. Make it clear. Make it clear to the potential convert. Here's the track. It's going to be hard, but it's 2 years. At the end, here's the exam. This is how we do it.
Right.
Make it clear. Clarify for people. You're the sovereign now. Don't be tricky. Don't be wily.
Right.
That's it. Like, be clear. Make it simple for people. Make it simple for people. Make it clear. For Arabs, tell them clearly, this is the Jewish state.
Right.
There's no way you're going to take it over. There's just no way. It's not going to happen. By the way, here's a simple thing. Jihadism, no.
Right.
Nope. Not going to happen.
Right.
Not going to happen.
Right. I love it the way that you put it. Like, it's simple. It's like, in the diaspora, like, we had to figure out how to do all these things. Now
in their land.
In their land.
Right.
But now that we're here, we have to learn how to be kings. And I'll share this very personal story. Shortly after we converted, me and my wife, we went homeless. We literally went homeless.
Wow.
I'm telling you, it was almost weeks out. I lost my job. My lease was up. And the place that I stayed in, that we were staying in at that time, the landlord needed to move back in emergency. So we almost had no time to clear out. The lease was up, nothing that we could do. And it was a very, very tough financial time for us at that time. I lost my job. So we were staying, here and there with friends, getting hotel vouchers, through the state and everything like that. It was a very, very tough time. Wow. And what was so interesting is that, throughout that year, it was literally a year, June 1st to June 1st, we were without a place. And there was many nights slept in the car, literally slept in the car. And it was a very, very tough time. But I felt Hashem with me the whole entire time. And I remember looking at my wife one day and I said, one day we're going to laugh about this. We're going to laugh about this. We don't know when it's going to be, but we're going to laugh about this. So here we are. Year happens, literally June 1st. We're signing a lease, through miracles, by the way, we're signing a lease on a new place. And we move in and we're there. And what we notice about each other is, because we've always been in other people's place all the time, we're very, very scared to leave a light on, to make sure that the door, to make sure things, because we were used to being in other people's place. We didn't realize that we're in our own place. We could kind of let her relax a little bit, but we're always worried that, we didn't want to upset the balabais, the person who owned the house or whoever it is. So we were always acting that way until one day that we were sitting and we were talking about it. And we looked at each other and we just started laughing. And I said, I told you.
It happened.
I told you we're going to laugh.
Wow.
Told you we're going to laugh,
story.
And this is how we have to see this. Like you said, we have to see this right now. Like, this is already, we're in the Zman of the Geula. We have to learn how to live in the Kings. We have to hurry up and turn the light off. It's our lights. We don't have to, we can run a little bit more water. We have to worry about whether or not to. So we have to learn how to live like kings. You said it better than
you have to, and you have to be willing to govern.
To govern.
Now I'm gonna also shift gears on you and tell you there's another simple thing which which is something a little bit new. This might a little bit shock you or whatever. But it's on the forefront. It's the next forefront. I believe very much that there are millions and millions, maybe billions, of goyim who want to come closer to Yiddishkeit.
1,000%.
I believe that Sheva Mitzvot B'nai Noach, the Noahide movement, was too skeletal.
Right. It's just to clarify, just because I want to clarify that, because one of the biggest complaints I've heard from a lot of different people is when we say the word goyim, they think that we're saying a bad word. Yeah. It just means Gentile.
It means nations.
It means nations. It literally means nations. They're nations. We're called the goy also.
That's
so just to clarify.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because there's another bad thing that, for Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson. Go ahead.
By the way, I always tell people, I sometimes tell the goyim, I say there's two ways to say it. There's goyim, which means nation, and goyim. Them, the ones that are striking at us all these years. But the goyim, the nations, and it's actually a beautiful word.
It is a beautiful word.
It's a beautiful word. It means nations. It means that God has created nations.
Right.
I believe very much the time has come, because we're back in our land, because we're broadcasting God's truth right now. I think that it's time for a much more souped up version of Noahidism that includes Sabbath prayer, that includes fellowship. They need community. That includes a Siddur, a prayer book. That includes facing Jerusalem. That includes, this is the big one, a calendar. The Goyim, the nations, and I'll tell you the name that I'm giving these people now. The artist formerly known as Noahide will now be known as Abrahamic. Okay, Goyim, nations that are choosing to walk in the path of Hashem, not become Jews. Okay, stay Goyim. We don't need everybody to become the Jews. We're a special nation. Sometimes souls are trapped.
Right.
And they're come back to our people.
Right.
But the majority are not, and you don't have to leave your family.
Right.
You could stay in Texas. You can stay in Texas, but you're going to pray at the House of Abraham. And that House of Abraham is going to face Jerusalem. You're going to get classes from Israel, from Nissim Black. He's going to teach you classes about faith and about halakha for the Goyim. You're going to also be able to choose, because you don't have to keep the Sabbath. You don't have to do stuff, but you can honor the Sabbath. And basically, a lot of big rabbis, including Rabbi Yitzchak Ginsburg and others, are talking about...
Talk to Rabbi Ginsburg about this also.
The nations want the Torah, and now that we're back in our land, they want to hear it. I also am adding to that the marketing term, Noahide, is a failure, because Noah is not the person that you want to be like. It's not a sympathetic character. You want to be both Christians and Muslims that are walking away from those faith traditions that want to plug in. They want to choose Abraham, the man who first, from the get-go, was teaching the nations.
I'm getting chills, man.
Yeah,
I'm getting
and that's a new thing I've been thinking about it for years. But the time has come for the Abrahamic faith, and to give and to give the option. We're given the option here. And it happens to be that America is the country that can stomach an option. They can, if you can stomach Mormonism or Scientology, God bless. I'm not dissing anybody. I'm not dissing. I'm giving you an option to come to a life faith path that is so-called New Testament, not Christian text. It is through the Torah. It is through Judaism, and I know in my heart that you're going to be one of the teachers for that movement.
I'm up for it. Yishai, thank you so much.
God bless
Appreciate your time. It's so valuable to me. I could talk to you for hours, and I really want to, but I think we both have to stay married. But
That's right.
I appreciate you, brother. Right. I want to bless you to continue doing what you're doing, being a Gibor Yisrael, going out and standing on our values and our principles, and not shaking for anything. And everything that you're doing for all of Klal Yisrael, the people that are directly being affected by you and those that are not. I really appreciate everything you're doing. Really.
Can I thank you also for coming over?
Yeah, of course.
Not just here, to the Jewish people. The real kibbutz galuyot, the real ingathering is when Jewish souls are born outside of Jewish bodies, and they come back to the people, but you've come back to Torah, and you've come back to the land. And now you're broadcasting it out through music and through Torah teaching. Thank you so much. And it's an honor to be your friend.
Appreciate it. Likewise, brother. Thank you.
All right, folks, Yishai Fleisher here at an anti-terror school, IDF training. It's a real honor to be here, and it was an honor and a pleasure to be with Nissim Black, who is just the kind of person that the Jewish people need. Somebody with a little bit of outside perspective, and yet the most inside of the inside. He's got a very inner perspective as well, a mystical perspective, a Rabbi Nachman perspective. And there's so much to learn from him. I hope that you enjoyed our conversation. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, become a member, and check out our web store. And don't forget that Hashem gives us strength to continue to fight his battles. God bless you wherever you are. Stay tuned, stay connected, stay part of the story. Keep broadcasting. Lots of love and lots of blessings. And shalom.